team that with great athletes. The key to this will be the speed of the game. Can Auburn keep the pace of the game going with their defensive effort?
And Joe, there are a lot of subplots that we're going to explore during tonight's game.
We certainly will.
Jasper looking inside. Nice bounce pass down low, and the flush.
It all starts with K.D. Johnson, his ability to get a bounce pass high enough for Walker Kessler to receive and slam it down.
Let's look at the UCF starters: Perry, Mahan, Green, Walker, and of course, Mabakajan, Czech Mabakajan. 2 apiece early now. Each team has made success in its first possession. Auburn in white, backcourt pressure. We will see a lot of changing defenses for both sides today. 3 ball in the air, and a 3 ball is good.
Cambridge is that long-range shooter, but he's most effective catching it off the pass and knocking it down.
That's his 6th complete three-pointer in 23 tries. A good start for him.
Certainly is. He's a streak shooter.
Deep 3 up and off the back iron by Green. An offensive rebound and the putback.
Hustle points are important in this situation. You found that second chance points by Central Florida created an easy basket.
Again, pressure. Auburn breaks it easily. Another 3 up and in. Cambridge has a brace of early threes. Only averaging 7 a game. A good start for him from the right side. Let's go back and look at the deep ball. Chunked up early by Auburn.
Devin Cambridge is a fellow that moves well off the ball. When a player can get himself set, feet set, great rotation to knock it down. And right back again, same spot, same situation. Let it fly, Devin Cambridge.
This is Smith, pull-up jump shot online, but a little bit long off the back iron. Rebound uncontested defensively by Walker. Quick turnaround 3. Bounces high off the window, and the rebound pulled off by Kessler, the 7'1" sophomore from Noonan, Georgia, by way of UNC. 17:46 to go, first half. Auburn taking advantage of a couple of deep 3s by Cambridge.
Well, and surprisingly, that Central Florida is playing such a fast-paced game now, along with Auburn. So we're going to have many possessions in this game.
Dylan Cardwell enters the game for Auburn, a sophomore from Augusta, Georgia. 3 ball up in front of the Auburn bench on line, but off the side iron. Offensive rebound after the miss by Green. Both sides chunking up the 3 balls. That one off the mark by Mahan. And it will go to Auburn in white.
Cardwell gets away with it at 6'11", grabs the rebound, brings it down for the little guard to smack at that ball. Devin's going to have to learn to keep it high.
We will see 2 big guys going at each other. Kessler at 7'1" for Auburn. Mbakajong at 6'11" for UCF.
Brandon Mahan at 6'5" can create a lot of problems for Wendell Green out at the point.
Johnson is double teamed on the sideline, gets rid of it to Green. He'll take it inside, stops at the elbow. 4 seconds to shoot. Johnson puts it on the floor, pulls up, takes the deep 3. It rims out, rebound is deep. Picked off by UCF, stolen by Auburn. 3 ball up, and that's the first miss from that place by Cambridge. Offensive rebound, blocking foul. There is Bruce Pearl, 9th year. 143 wins at this school, 3rd in Auburn history. A 2019 Final Four appearance, the 1st in Auburn history. And what's even more impressive, perhaps, he has led 3 different D1 teams to NCAA Sweet 16s, and that is so difficult to do.
It certainly is. Lynn, Bruce has, like some coaches, great coaches, has that winning gene. His players believe in the system, and players only do what they believe, not what they're told. And Coach Pearl's a great motivator. Here's
Jabari Smith, the sensational first-year Auburn Tiger. He hits both free throws. He is an excellent free throw shooter, 84% on the year.
Like Coach Pearl said, he's a pro. He's a pro's pro. His work ethic, He's always trying to improve. His shooting stroke is outstanding, but his footwork, and he's repetitive in every shooting motion.
Auburn by 6 in the early going. Mahan is fouled as he starts his drive down the left side of the lane. J.D. Johnson with the foul. As we look at Johnny Dawkins, we'll get a shot of him in a moment. He's truly one of the greatest players at Duke and has a fine coaching resume as well.
He certainly does. He was the key to Coach K's success. He was the first big signee that Coach K found at Duke. He came out of just out of Virginia, just an outstanding player.
Cardwell takes the ball away. Johnson faked the three, goes inside, he'll pitch it out. Green will take a long one, or at least think about it. Now he backs away after defensive pressure by Mahan. Well,
Mahan's got the scouting report. He knows that he'll take 5 steps off that three-point arc to knock down the shot.
The dribble is fumbled away.
Deflected out by Green. Chris Moore taking it strong to the basket, has it stripped.
There's Johnny Dawkins. He led UCF to its first NCAA tournament win in 2019. He's had great success as a player, multi-time All-America, number retired at Duke.
And did a great job at Stanford for 8 years, was one of had the top success as a coach in 8 years at Stanford.
Turnaround jump shot from the elbow is good by the big guy, Mbakajong. Czech Mbakajong, the senior from Senegal. And by way of UNLV, not much of a scorer normally, only averaging a little less than 4 a game, but a little less than 5 rebounds a game.
But his footwork, to knock down that jumper was basically sound.
Very much so. Kick out for the three, right side. Yes! K.D. Johnson. He's got 13 of them now on the year. Came in with 12, obviously. That's second most on the team. That's his first bucket. That comes up short. That rattles out, and it's stolen with quick hands by Mahan. A lot of chances here for Central Florida.
And he's a tough guard, no matter where he is, inside, outside. He creates mismatches.
Walker at the free throw line. Out of Sanford, Florida. He started his career at Oregon. He is now 9 for 11 on the season at the stripe after hitting 1 of 2. Backcourt pressure again, the ball poked loose, and this should be an easy bucket for UCF as Darren Green able to flush it after the steal. 13-9, ball poked away again. Back-to-back turnovers by the Auburn Tigers.
Uncharacteristic.
And another flush by C.J. Skywalker. He's got 5 early points. He had 14 with 11 rebounds against Miami this year, so he can do his thing, both scoring and rebounding. That one under contact. A couple of opportunities there for Kessler. Can't make it happen. And UCF now can tie or take the lead.
UCF's got some energy now from those 2 steals and the dunks. Auburn's got to find a way to change the pace of this game.
Let's look at defense turn into offense here for UCF.
Just a quick move by Darren Green, and he gets excitement, and then you come back just with deflections and taking the ball, and big C.J. Walker knocks it down. It's an energy motivator for this Central Florida team right now.
Nice move by Darius Perry with the left hand. That's his first bucket, a senior out of Marietta, Georgia. He started his career at Louisville. And we are knotted at a baker's dozen apiece, 13 each.
So quickly, Central Florida's pressure just opened up scoring opportunities.
Kessler won't shoot it from there. Smith can't create anything. He'll get it back at the top of the circle. He forces it. And a whistle. The shot attempt does not count.
Because
the
of the
foul was on the floor.
Because of the swing through. A good call by the whistle. Jabari, though, IQ basketball, knows when his arms are in a position to sweep through, and maybe sometimes he will get that call.
Smith wants it low. Auburn can't get it to him yet.
There's a mismatch inside with Smith.
There is. He's guarded by Adams, who's 6'6". Auburn scores anyway.
Zepp finds a way, takes it in, stutter step, slow down a dribble, shot fake, and draws the foul. Zepp goes in, shot fake amongst the Giants, and then kisses it off the glass for two.
The 6'1" senior from Augusta, Georgia, nicknamed the Honey Badger, at the free throw line, a good free throw shooter at 75%.
And that Honey Badger is for his defensive effort, as you see it right now. He's a lock-up defender because of the quick feet and the speed of his hands.
Kessler got a piece of that, but traveling was called before the shot.
Reynolds was intimidated by the shot blocker in Kessler.
Jameel Reynolds carries 6 feet 10 inches on his sophomore frame. Pressure in backcourt again. Auburn's got to come help. It will stay with the Tigers, but a couple of times in the last few minutes, this pressure has caused Auburn a problem.
It certainly has. Auburn seems out of sorts. Would find Kessler at 7'1" is right in the middle. He should be that outlet. They're trying to 2-1-2 break, which is what you want to try to do in this situation, but Green just rushes it up the floor.
3 ball from the right side, won't go. Kessler, strong rebound. He survived a lot of contact. Jasper kicks it out. Plenty of time on the shot clock. 3 in the air and rattles out. Looked good as it left Green's hand, but then reverberated away.
Walker Kessler being aggressive is whistled for the foul. Auburn County with their pressure now, man-for-man pressure, trying to create a turnover for the Central Florida team.
A step back deuce from deep in the lane is good by Adams. That's not necessarily a high percentage shot, but he made it happen.
But it looks like he'll handle that shot he practiced. If you practice it, why not shoot it?
Perry with the interception and a foul called. This will be a 3-shot opportunity at the stripe.
Right now, Lynn, you have Central Florida picking up the pace with their pressure, with their 2-1-2 pressure. You have Auburn trying to find a way to get back into a scoring rhythm. This is just what we talked about.
Well, here are Tuesday night's college hoops matchups. Double threat. Oscar Shibwe and number 9 Kentucky take on Southern at 7 o'clock. Rupp Arena. Then JT Notte leads a balanced Razorback attack as number 10 Arkansas hosts Charlotte on the SEC Network and the ESPN app.
Once again, Leon Berman comes in cold and knocks down the corner 3.
The junior out of Birmingham. Auburn needed that bucket.
They needed the energy to get their fans fired up in the jungle.
Tigers lead by 2. Great pass underneath. Couple of double fakes. Kessler stays with it and blocks it from behind.
The young man has great timing for a 7'1" defender. With the winning gene, Johnny Dawkins' success at the college level at Duke, at the coaching level.
Quick ball movement around the perimeter. That is rejected by Mbakajong. And a foul called against Auburn.
Talking about Johnny Dawkins, they're playing man defense. They come out of that defensive timeout. They go to zone and get Auburn confused in what type of offense to run against their zone. Auburn right back now in a 1-3-1 zone.
It's the first time we've seen that tonight. That's dribbled off the foot of Fuller. Auburn looking to set up the three ball off the break, and it is good by Jabari Smith. That is his 14th converted triple of the season. That's number 1 on the Auburn Tigers.
Just
Adams
smooth.
takes a wild shot. It's very unusual to see the big guy back up and hit one like that. 13-year NBA veteran and an overall #1 draft pick in 2001. That's pretty good basketball genes.
It certainly is. When you look at him, talk about Jabari Smith, you wouldn't think he's 6'10" because of his quick, explosive starts, explosive stops.
That may have been a traveling violation. That was not called, but it's missed by Green. Auburn trying to hustle it. Johnson gets it to Smith. Johnson takes the return pass and lets it fly. Side iron right as it comes out. Rebound on the floor, tied up. And Auburn on its last 2 possessions has knocked down threes. One by Smith, one by Berman. Nobody picked up the this year for UCF. And his 2 trays in the first half give him 13 on the season.
Well, right now he has 8 points and 3 steals. Pretty good first half.
Indeed. Perry takes it down on the baseline, kicks it out for a 3-ball left side. Good. Mahan hits the 3, and this is a UCF lead, 28-27.
Just the extension of their shooting stroke and the ease with which they look for the 3.
On the road, UCF in the first half is shooting 50%. Auburn right now at 39%.
Just a great kick into the corner to Brandon Mahan. I think the point guard understands how to play this game. He'll take it to the rim. He'll give space and throw it to the offside corner where Brandon Mahan was just waiting to stroke the 3.
Jalen Williams at the free throw line.
Impressive with the 3 guards, Mahan, just Perry, and, just Green. Just hard to guard. 3 guards that stroke it so well.
Williams was 7 for 10 at the stripe prior to hitting 1 of 2. Williams comes away with the deflection. And it's going to go back to UCF.
You have to value the possession simply, Auburn, because of UCF's ability to slap at the ball. Deflections, always around the ball.
What a gorgeous arena this is to witness basketball. Playing conditions are tremendous. Every seat in this building has a great sight line, and you are very close to the court.
Yes, you are.
Kessler knocks it away as he took away the jump hook from Mbakajong. Auburn counters with the bucket. Johnson. Green, rather. First bucket for Green.
Green makes a great cross-court pass.
How about that hustle by Green? But it's turned into a hoop as Mbakajong picked it up.
Bodies on the floor. You talk about hustle points.
30 apiece.
UCF is going after it.
Auburn has led much of the first half, but over the last 3 or 4 minutes, UCF has made a couple of nice runs. Shot clock at 6. Jump hook by Kessler. Rebound, Perry.
Well defended by UCF to push Kessler away from the basket.
And defended on the perimeter and then inside. Nice late pass down low, and the score off the glass by Mbakajong, and that is 6 points for him. That's nearly twice his season's average.
Just, he's finding a way. He's excited about playing here in front of the jungle.
Green working on Mahan. Takes it down the right side of the lane, needs some help, gives it off to Kessler, left hand good.
Great pass by Green, but better catch by Walker Kessler to catch it in the crowd and knock it down.
Mahan takes the deep and quick three. Two Tigers battle for it. Neither can control it. And it will go back to UCF.
Coach Pearl can't get upset, but look at Wendell Green with that cross-court pass, bounce pass to Katie Johnson to kiss it off the glass. And then UCF with Brandon. Just nice bounce pass by Brandon Mahan for his teammate.
Katie Johnson turning that pass into a bucket, the assist to Green.
If you want a fast-paced game, you're seeing it right here with the ability of passing, cutting, and knocking down shots.
And speaking of knocking down shots, Isaiah Adams offers and scores. 34-32. UCF leading the Auburn Tigers in Auburn. Johnson goes down on the baseline, is cut off there. He'll back away, tries to take the baseline again, and
move flat defense. Offensively, the defense has an issue to cover that.
And Jabari Smith back in the game for Auburn. Standing on the perimeter opposite side right now. Green gets it to Kessler, who finds Smith. He'll take the three. Yes!
How smooth is that jab step to get the defender away? Isaiah Adams steps away. Enough space for Jabari to knock it down.
15 of them on the season. That's #1 on the team. Kessler rejects another one. It's getting sloppy in backcourt. Finally, Auburn is able to get it across the midcourt line. You watch his expressions during the game. He's a grinner. He's always got a smile on his face.
He certainly does. Yeah, and you can't tell his emotion whether he's winning by 10 or losing by 10.
Shot clock at 6. This is Smith. He'll take a long one and didn't quite get it there. Kessler battling hard for it, but it'll go back to UCF. Kessler has been a force on both ends around the bucket.
Quick instincts. Walker's that type of ball player. He anticipates where the shot's going and goes after, gets himself set, and just quick hands and quick feet.
How about a little bit of trivia?
Okay.
Involving Walker Kessler. He was the ACC tournament record holder for a freshman with 8 blocks in one game against Notre Dame. Can you believe that? As a freshman, swatted away 8 shots in one game against Notre Dame for an ACC tournament record for a freshman.
Hey, Lynn, if we're playing trivia, you can't read it. You just got to have it off the top of your head now. Now you're down there reading. And was he the only freshman? There was 2 other freshmen that accomplished that feat through all the ACC tournament. But he's the latest one to have 8 blocks against Notre Dame. And then the next game against Florida State, he throws down 20 points.
They have called a foul against UCF.
And Czech is moving his finger like Mutombo, like stay out of my territory.
Walker Kessler, number 14 in 2020 in the ESPN 100. Georgia Gatorade Player of the Year and Mr. Basketball. Oh! Smith to Cambridge.
Cambridge, a great athlete. Devin moves well without the ball, anticipating Jabari, finding him on the weak side.
That's a scorer turning into an assist maker in Smith with the dish to Cambridge. Less than 2 minutes to play. First half, this place is getting loud again. 37-34. UCF can tie with this possession with a triple. Mahan beats the shot clock. Smith pulls off the rebound. Kicks it ahead. Did he throw it too far? Auburn cannot save it. Double team pressure in the corner, turnover. Johnson on the move. Johnson hanging. Johnson shooting. Swatted out of there by Mbakajong. Let's go back and look at a really fine assist.
I don't know where to look, Lynn. Okay, here we go back. Nice lob pass. Soft touch to Devin coming in on baseline. Just the ability to put it up high. What a great athletic move by Devin Cambridge to knock it down.
The lead is 3 for the home team with 75 seconds remaining in the first half. Smith is double teamed in the corner. Kessler will take a 3 on line, but a little bit long, and the deep rebound snatched by Tyam Freeman.
Darius Perry getting his team set.
Jasper defending against Perry.
4 out, 1 in offense, calling for that high ball screen.
Shot clock at 8. Perry will take it inside. All kind of defenders converge on him. And it will go to Auburn.
And it was the Honey Badger that stole that honey from Darius Perry. Possession Auburn. Zep Jasper, that lockdown defender. Hectic pace.
Yes, it is, and a lot of athleticism being on display here.
But with a lot of skill combined.
5 on 4 now. Smith hanging in the air and then delivering with a soft shot. A foul has been called, I believe, on Auburn. It's on Jasper.
Well, the one thing I thought about that, when Darius Perry was moving with the ball, wasn't he walking as he was rolling on the floor? A hustle play, you can't get upset with Zep because of the hustle and the aggressiveness, but you're concerned about that being the right call.
The lead is 5 for the Auburn Tigers. Perry will try to do something about it. Coming up at halftime, Auburn's latest football and baseball athlete. A look around the SEC, and of course, first half highlights and analysis from Hall of Fame coach Joe Ciampi.
UCF making this shot will probably go to a full court pressure.
The lead is 3 for the home team. 7 seconds to play in the half. Johnson's going to take it on line. He does not get the bounce. A tip is no good, and we are done. Jong have 20 of the 36 for UCF. Kessler, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks in the first half. 6 ties, 6 lead changes. Here we go.
First 4 minutes. What are the adjustments that will be effective by Auburn defensively or by UCF defensively?
Cambridge picks up that rebound as it hits the floor. Auburn in white.
Zep Jasper running the show up on top. Jabari Smith, that playing the 4 position, high post area so he can facilitate the ball.
That was a little mix-up. Smith was trying to set the screen and then stepped into the path. Kessler got his hands on it. It's saved by UCF and taken back by Auburn. The shot clock was reset.
Surprisingly.
Smith can't get the 3 to go. And that is going to be a traveling violation. as Perry was tight-roping the sideline.
Lazy pass by Brandon Mahan created that situation, created an unforced turnover for the Auburn Tigers now.
We have played 80 seconds in the second half. No score. Kessler left alone. And he will go to the free throw line. He has had a big game.
Great pass by KD, but more importantly, watch the footwork. He catches inside, keeps his hands up high, ball up high, absorbs the contact, and knocks down to 2. Walker's effectiveness at the offensive end has been in a position where he's concentrated on his defense, his rebounding, and rim protector, but he does have an offensive arsenal. Auburn switching on the ball, up on top.
That will be a bucket for UCF.
Darian Green moved well without the ball, made the pass, came off a high post screen, and had the defender on its back.
Have gone in the second half. Wide open for the 3 from the right side. It rims out. The miss by Zep Jasper. Offensive foul.
A little too quick. Darius Perry taking the ball aggressive. But KD Johnson in position. Darius Perry's complaining he was moving. He's permitted to move. He has his lane.
Zep Jasper was a member of the all-defensive Colonial Athletic Association team as he played at the College of Charleston. Also was a pretty good scorer there in the mid-teens.
Well, he's giving that up right now. He's pretty unselfish with his offensive game.
How about Kessler lumbering down the lane and shooting with the left hand? And he'll pick up a foul on the other end.
I mentioned that he has an offensive arsenal, and there it is, a little jab step, show him forearms and elbows, and takes the ball to the basket with a left-handed kiss.
That's a 7-foot-plus player putting it on the floor a couple of times after the fake.
I mentioned that there's more to come with his offensive game.
I do not doubt that.
But in all the excitement getting back, he fouls C.J. Walker, and I believe that's number 3 on Kessler, isn't it?
We'll check it. 7 points for Walker.
Two fouls.
I've got it for 2.
Yes, thank you.
And a technical foul has been called. Smith runs over to his own bench to try to explain things. He is astonished. Apparently there was an exchange of words or something between Mahan of UCF and Smith of Auburn. I don't think either player is quite understanding what that was about, but it was called.
I surely don't know, and you don't know.
The only thing I can think was it was some sort of verbal exchange, but they both kissed and made up after the whistle.
It was too close to the official.
Smith for 3, got it.
And there's Jabari Smith's answer to that whistle.
Points for Jabari Smith, including 3 threes. Let's go back and look at the big fellow, the rookie. Stroke it from deep.
Kessler makes a good pass out. Jabari catch and shoot. Feet squared, lift and push to the basket. String music.
You know what Mayhaw jelly is?
No, we don't.
Southerners do. That's sweeter than Mayhaw jelly.
Okay.
And that's about as sweet as you can get.
Okay. I'm still trying to figure out the honey badger.
Now, this guy at the free throw line, Mahan, has now made 35 consecutive free throws, dating back to February 1st of last season. Now he's at 36 straight. He's 15 for 15 this year, and he is 36 for 36 over the last several months. In 15 straight games, he has not missed a free throw. Cambridge, way off to the left side. Oh, that's nice. The nice run out. Great pass from quarter court on the other end down into the hands of Walker. Auburn just didn't get back quickly enough.
Just, you've got to stay alert.
More problems, and now 3-on-1 opportunity. Kessler is there to claim the rebound, but it's knocked out of his hands. It's going to go back to the Tigers. Auburn caught a break there.
Once again, looking the long pass down the floor. Defensive mistake by Auburn as the point guard went into the basket. One of the wing guards has to find back and become that defensive safety.
You know, Joe, we see passes like that in nearly every game, but if you think it's easy, go out on a basketball court sometime and throw it 75 feet into the hands of someone on the run. It is very, very difficult.
It is a skill.
Smith looked like he... Tonight he's been held to a couple of buckets for 4, 1 hoop in each half.
But you got to give Auburn credit defensively for following the scouting report.
Auburn by 5. The biggest lead has been 8. Mahan nearly had it poked away. He'll take a long step back 3. That is a very low percentage shot, and give a lot of credit defensively to Leor Berman.
Leor Berman does the job. Another Birmingham fellow from Mountain Brook High gets into Brandon Mahan. Man shoots a fadeaway 3 that hits nothing but air.
Green on the move. That's swatted away by Mbakajong. He's been impressive. Williams from short range does not miss that one.
Williams showed some emotion powering that ball down.
That's his first bucket. He started every game last year and averaged nearly 11 a game with more than 4.5 rebounds.
Well, Jalen is a solid competitor. He plays with the feel for the game, and he's an outside threat. And he showed his inside power with that flush.
Adams fade away. Once again, defensive pressure by Berman. Berman thought he might launch the 3, step back off 1 foot, and that one is off the mark. Green puts it on the floor, tries to beat Berman. He will fade and fire, and he's got it. Green, 6 points. Let's go back and look at a UCF block. And it's the big guy again. He has been really demonstrating some excellent footwork, but Auburn follows with the flush.
Great pass by Green to Jalen Williams to knock it down.
Joe, I have been impressed with Czech Mbakajong. He didn't come in touted as a big scorer. He had 10 in the first half. He has played very well defensively, and he hits the floor with hustle effort right there.
It's solid team ball player. He's a defender and a rebounder for him. The scoring is just an added bonus for this UCF team.
He's a 4-year starter. He's had career highs of 22 points in a game and 17 rebounds. Walker Kessler got a brief rest and is now back in the game, replacing Dylan Cardwell. That time a miss by Mbakajong. And it's going to go back to Auburn.
Give Auburn credit defensively for hustling to the ball and defending the shot.
UCF is going to apply a lot of pressure in backcourt. Contact by Mbakajong, and KD Johnson will be shooting free throws. Auburn breaks the pressure here as UCF.
And that speed and explosiveness, taking that ball to the basket, either to make the shot or draw a foul. No fear in K.D. Johnson.
These are his first free throw attempts tonight. He is a 73.7 free throw accuracy.
And he's one of those finishers in the open floor. It's sort of unique, his speed, his ability to explode to the basket, and just seek contact of the defender before he goes up to the rim. Last year, you look at his stats when he was at University of Georgia. He comes back now with 3.3 steals so far in this season at Auburn.
He probably won't forget a game he had against Auburn. 21.7 rebounds.
Yes, he did. We might forget it because I think the end result was in favor of Auburn. And yes, it was his debut, but it was in a losing effort.
How's that for irony? The foul is assessed against Berman.
Darius Perry just showing his stop-and-go ability, his pace with the ball, and he draws the foul.
20 on the shot clock, 13:45 left in the second half. Auburn's lead is 7. Its biggest advantage in the first half was 8. Perry wants people to clear out. Kessler with another block. He has been a fortress inside. Look at Walker Kessler position himself perfectly to reject this shot.
Positioning himself by going vertical. Great. He's positioned himself behind. He goes straight up vertical, and offensively, you have Reynolds that just turns right into his arms. Easy block for Walker Kessler.
And he did it with his offhand, the left hand. Kessler at the top, puts it on the floor just to create some space. Kessler wants it low, and then inadvertently sets a screen for the lay-in by Green.
I don't know if that was inadvertently or just great basketball IQ to seal off the defender.
55.
I'm sorry, Lynn. We're doing this quietly with Jabari Smith on the bench.
This is the biggest lead of the game, 55-46. Let's go back and look at this last bucket.
Just stop and go dribble. Kessler down there guiding him in.
Of an enthusiastic fan club here as Auburn leads 55-46. Walker Kessler has done a lot right on both ends of the court tonight.
He certainly has. His ability now to take the ball to the basket with force is impressive. Finding a way to get in a position to catch and shoot, but now at the other end, an elite defender of the rim. And then he shows a little shake and bake, taking it on a shot fake, and then taking it off with his left hand for a shot. 11 points coming off, 5 of 10 from the field, 1 from the foul line.
And I think they've shorted him a block. I think that last one was his 5th. Nonetheless,
well, like you had mentioned,
they haven't updated it, I don't think, yet. But
the young rim protector had 8 in one game, and against quality competition in the ACC tournament.
Notre Dame was the opponent in that game. You know, he's a guy who does not attract a lot of attention despite being 7'1", but he plays within himself. He has basketball intelligence.
He certainly does.
And he's able to play against big people without incurring an excessive number of fouls.
And he has the footwork. He has the footwork of a 6'5" forward or guard.
You see him out poking the ball away in the backcourt. How about Kessler defending at midcourt?
He was looking for the steal.
Kessler with a block from behind again. Oh, man, has he come to play today?
Kessler comes from help side, just reads the play, gives himself time enough to come across the lane. keep his body away from Perry, and slap it away.
He loves to use that left hand defensively, doesn't he?
He certainly does. You can't sleep on this UCF team. They're so well coached, so well disciplined. They run their sets out of bounds, they score and draw fouls.
Well, here are Tuesday night's college hoops matchups. Double threat. Oscar Shibwe and number 9 Kentucky take on Southern U at 7 at Rupp Arena. Then J.D. Note leads a balanced Razorback attack. Number 10 Arkansas hosts Charlotte. It's on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Tune in Tuesday.
Isaiah Adams uncharacteristically, he misses 2 free throws.
And this is on a team that shoots better than 80% at the free throw line. One of the best free throw shooting teams in the nation. That's remarkable. 80 plus. Kessler will take a 3. Rebound to Berman. Lior Berman is another guy who just starts mixing it up the moment he gets into the game.
He's just, you know, the rotation that Auburn has, they just find a way.
My goodness. I can't believe that. Green from NBA distance plus 9 feet.
If it's Green, believe it.
That one ought to count for 5.
Talk about adjustments at halftime. Right now it's in favor of Auburn. They make the defensive adjustment, but more importantly, offensively, to get Kessler involved in the offense.
Green has a dozen.
Started going from the inside out with Kessler as the facilitator.
And speaking of Kessler, 3 consecutive double-double games now. Oh, monster mash from Kessler. Williams set it all up.
But that's right. Jalen Williams is such a classy act. Takes the ball down the floor at 6'8", handles the ball like a 6'2" guard. Kessler runs the floor and is rewarded with a flush.
That is very unselfish basketball.
That's Bruce Pearl basketball.
14 is the lead for Auburn. Kessler contests the shot and then pulls off the rebound. Williams on the move. He'll get it to Green, who will set the offense. 10 minutes and 40 seconds to go. It's been a good first half of the second half for Auburn. Another way back shot. This one misses badly.
Bad possession by Auburn. Wendell Green doesn't facilitate the ball. Dribbles, and throws an air ball.
UCF trying to string a couple of productive possessions together. And a lean-in foul called on Berman. Let's go back and look at Kessler off the feed. 2 hands, a rim rattler.
Jalen Williams makes the soft bounce pass for Walker to catch and flush. A rim rattler. Now, is that Southern?
That's Southern.
Darius Perry just under control as that point guard, trying to go with pace, ready to knock down these free throws.
He's hit 3 in a row now. He's 11 for 13 on the year.
He's one of the team captains, and like I mentioned earlier, he's the extension of Coach Dawkins on the floor, just trying to keep everybody calm. 10 minutes and 16 seconds to go in this game. A lot of time to find their way.
That is perfect form at the free throw line.
It certainly is. His release.
High arch, just a little backspin to deaden it if it hits the rim.
UCF picking up the pressure, trying to get Green into a speed-up game right now. Jalen Williams called for a screen, moving screen, as he hands off the ball to Zip Jasper.
That's kind of like a pick play in football.
Yeah, but that's a 50-50 call. You can call that just about every play, just like you could call holding in football. So
that's when you ask for a coin and flip it.
Auburn back into 1-3-1 half-court defense, showing a different look.
Perry from way back on line, but a little bit long. Oh, that's great hustle. I think it's going to stay with Auburn after a tremendous job by Mahan of running that ball down on the sideline.
Well, both by him and Jabari Smith, but it stays with UCF in the corner. Sideline out of bounds.
Shot clock at 20, 9:47 to play. We are in gorgeous Auburn Arena.
Noisy Auburn Arena.
Always noisy. Perry got in trouble, tried to find Bakajong, and that pass was off the mark.
It was created by Kessler. He had to alter his shot because Kessler had his hand there and causes the turnover.
Oh, Kessler was open down low. They didn't get it to him. Mahan can't get the relatively open shot to go from point-blank range. Here we go. That alley-oop just too tall. UCF coming the other way. 3-on-3 break now, and a foul by Smith.
Gonna call intentional.
Are they?
Yep.
Now remember, he had some sort of verbal technical foul called against him. There was actually a double technical call, so that was a personal foul, plus this one.
As they come down the floor here, he extends himself, and
oh yeah, okay.
It's not a basketball play.
Yeah.
Right
so
there.
the two-handed grab was what set that apart. No question that was an intentional foul.
Yep. Isaiah Adams, all-freshman team last year. He's showing his way as a sophomore.
Out of Jacksonville, Florida, had 26 against Tulane. That's his career best. And 10 rebounds against Houston. He was an all-AAC freshman team member and a former Florida Mr. Basketball. .906 to go. We are delighted to have you with us from Auburn, Alabama, on the SEC ESPN network. Kessler pulls off another rebound. Again, he's got his third double-double in a machine. What's that guy talking about?
That's true. Pinball machine and Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Pull my strings.
Kind of a precursor to Pac-Man, I guess.
There you go.
62-49. Johnson, will he flush it?
Yes.
Oh, two hands, reverse. The little guy elevates as though he came from a trampoline.
We talk about the young man, Jabari Smith. His excitement and his energy right now has to be controlled. You have a 15-point lead. You just had an energizer flush by K.D. Johnson, and he stops the action 35 feet away from the basket, which he will learn.
He's had a good game, but not his best game tonight, Jabari Smith.
To most people, it's a great game, but to him, it's a good game.
Adams, one of many excellent free throw shooters for this UCF team. The lead is 14 right now. And now a baker's dozen at 64-51, Auburn. Smith leans over the dribble, takes it all the way, hesitates, scores off the window. He felt the defensive presence and then delayed and leaned and was able to use the backboard.
But his ability to just seek contact and then shoot through the contact is impressive.
Smith wades in for the rebound and then nearly threw it away. He was off balance, trying to find a teammate.
He may have been off balance right there, but taking the ball to the basket and being guarded physically, he finds a way to release that shot.
Indeed he did. Well, the jungle plus the geography outside the jungle getting involved.
It's an added advantage for this Auburn team to have these students excited every possession.
Jasper shooting and missing. That quick release shot by
4 minutes.
UCF shooting only 16.7% from the floor in the second half. And this, through the first part of the season, has been a very good shooting team. Up and down the lineup.
Well, every game they've played, and like you said, up and down the lineup. What's creating that? I think the pace of the game they have to play. And Auburn's a great defensive team in space, and this giving their guards some pause to find their shooting range.
Shot clock at 3. It's going to have to go quickly. Rebound tip to the corner, and UCF will try to string some productive possessions together right here.
And let's get back to that Mahan jelly.
Mayhaw.
Mayhaw.
M-A-Y-H-A-W.
Okay, I want a jar of that.
All right.
Jalen doing a commendable job of bringing the ball up the floor against the press.
He'll turn around and take one with a left hand.
I've shared the ball enough with my teammates. I'm taking this one.
Nice offensive rebound by Mbakajong in traffic. That's just a great effort with a double-digit deficit by Mbakajong.
Well, it certainly is. And now you get in position, time, and score. If you're UCF, you've got to find ways to stay aggressive and attack the rim. If you're Auburn, you have to play basically sound now. You're fundamental. You got to stay between the ball and the basket, force that one shot, and be a great rebounding team.
We'll have you covered on Conference Championship Saturday with a 4-hour pregame before Georgia and Alabama square off at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. It all starts at noon Eastern, 11 Central. Then after the game, be sure to head back to the SEC Network for a full game breakdown and interviews with players and coaches. You can always watch on the ESPN app if you're out and about, because nobody covers the SEC like we do. A 4-hour pregame before the Georgia-Alabama SEC football championship contest.
UCF continues with their pressure, trying to force a turnover.
We slide under the 6.5-minute mark. Auburn running the weave out front. Now a 3-ball, deep left side, on line but a little bit long off the back iron. Guess who on the offensive rebound?
Anticipates, goes to the weak side. Shot was taken from the left wing. He gets to the right side and secures the ball.
That was rebound number 13 for Kessler. 4 on the offensive glass. An offensive grab and a scoop at the hoop, and a score from Williams.
Great hustle by K.D. Johnson. Ball goes off Perry's leg.
He's got that little grin on his face again, doesn't he?
He certainly does. Jalen Williams finds a way. Hustle points for Auburn.
Well, that worked out pretty well for Darius Perry. He's had a nice game, Perry.
Just a smart game. He's that senior leadership, his ability to play under control.
Kessler wants it low. Oh, they missed him.
They certainly did. They've missed him 2 times now.
5 seconds to shoot. Green, very nice lead pass to the bucket for Dre Fuller.
And here comes UCF. 2 quick baskets on runouts.
And this is a team, because it does know how to play on the defensive side of the ball. I'm talking about UCF.
Yes.
This is a team which can turn the Auburn offense into UCF points if Auburn gets a little careless.
We've seen that the last 2 times with just quick runouts. And Auburn offensively twice now has missed Kessler standing in that lane with a mismatch.
K.D. Johnson. Jabari Smith will check in at the next opportunity. He'll have to wait until the next whistle. Auburn again late getting back, but a foul call. That's a preventive foul on K.D. Johnson. That was going to be an easy lay-in for UCF. Instead, they'll go to the line.
Once again, heads-up play by UCF to look ahead. Auburn walking back down the floor.
C.J. Walker had an open path to the bucket before the foul. Walker is in double figures now with 10 points. That's 3 in double figures tonight for UCF. And 3 for Auburn. Smith from distance. 4.5 to go. The lead is 11. This is a big possession right here. Kessler was able to contest that shot and force Adams to swing it wide from the left side. Cambridge is cut off. Smith will look inside, lob down to Kessler. You can count on it. When he gets it there, it's like trying to defend a water tower.
But who makes the pass? Who makes it? Jabari Smith.
Indeed.
All the other guards look and see him, but they just give him a wink. But Jabari Smith delivers the ball to his teammate, Walker Kessler, for a slam.
Perry, yes, nice. (72-61). Jasper gets it into front court. This is Kessler. He'll hold it from out there. And a reach. That's one of the many impressive things about the skills that this freshman possesses.
He certainly does. His ability to get to the free throw line, his ability, to knock down shots, to get passes to his teammates in areas where they can catch and score.
And sometimes big guys are a liability at the free throw line. Not this one.
Not this young man.
He is the #1 scorer, the #1 rebounder, and the #1 free throw accuracy shooter for the Auburn Tigers.
UCF goes into a 5-out offense. They're going to spread it and drive it hard now. They're going small ball. They have guards. They have their guards in the game.
73-61. The lead is a dozen with just over 3 minutes to go. There's a slip. Fortunately for UCF, no travel, but Smith comes up with a loose ball. He hesitates. He hangs, and that's blocked beautifully. Nice defense down low by C.J. Walker. They call him Skywalker, and we saw the reason why.
Yes, great timing, and he just removes all doubts that he can block Jabari's shots.
Smith fades after the dribble, leaves it short. Here comes UCF. Every possession is absolutely critical for the visiting team.
Time and score situation. Score quick.
Not sure whether that was a shot or an attempt at an alley-oop, but nobody was there to get it as Perry threw it away.
But that's the speed of the game right now that UCF has to play at, and Auburn defensively
There's Bruce Pearl, and we had a very enjoyable chat with him. He is a very candid coach. But it was interesting for me to learn that on his downtime, and coaches this time of the year don't get much downtime, but when he's got downtime, this guy loves horticulture. Would you believe that?
His family first. The family first, then the horticulture comes in. And you're spraying out thoughts that I think you're a horticulturist also.
Well, I mean, my motto is if you can't eat it, mow it down.
Yeah.
But he's much more subtle. He loves the texture of various leaves, the subtle colors. Yeah. He likes the smells of the earth. He likes to garden.
I know, I fell asleep in that conversation. Here's the Italian that cooks once in a while. I want to talk about my bolognese sauce, and you two are talking about the textures of the grass and the pine straw and the mulch.
I'm just saying that not a lot of basketball coaches at this level or any level, have that appreciation for Mother Nature.
Well,
try it sometime.
Hey, I could share. I love my creeping vincas and my sedum.
What's your Italian specialty? If I were to come to your house for dinner, what would be there no matter what?
Baked ziti with a regatta cake for dessert with some strawberries. And some calamari.
Yeah, you got to have the squid.
Oh yeah.
Dre Fuller works that one in. That was good ball movement by UCF. 2 minutes and some change to go. Plenty of time to use on the shot clock. Oh, how about that? How about that? A nifty assist by Green, and Kessler on the scoring end again.
There's nothing I can say after that.
Number one somehow slithered, somehow acted like a gyroscope in working his way free. Smith lays it in, and here come the Auburn Tigers. They have kept their foot on the accelerator.
They certainly have. And once again, we saw Jabari Smith's ability with his body control in the air to avoid a charge and lay it up.
16 is the lead with just over a minute to play. Let's go back and look at number 1 to number 13. This was certainly highlight material.
Just the ability to draw the defense and slide it off to Walker Kessler.
Green, out of Detroit, started his career at Eastern Kentucky. First team A-Sun member, averaging 19 points and 5 rebounds. He was number 2 in assists in the league, 8th in steals. Jabari Smith gets to 20 for the 4th time. A pair of 22s, a 23 against ULM, and a score of points tonight.
Just showing his game. He's growing as a teammate with his Auburn team, but more importantly, showing the leadership that this is his team. And Coach Pearl made a great statement as we talked with him yesterday. We asked about leadership and everything, and he says, the parts are the greatest of the sum right now.
Well, I like the relationship early in their careers between the two big guys, Kessler and Smith.
Yes.
They work well together. They anticipate, they look for each other, and they are certainly willing to dish to the other.
And here's the key, they're first-year ball players, and that's nonverbal communication that we're seeing right now. But as only playing 7 games together, that's a key component that you understand your teammates' talents and you respect him.
Both free throws, or Walker at the line, closes the gap a little bit, but 81-65. UCF will fall to 4-2. Auburn will move to 6-1.
UCF will be a team to be reckoned with throughout the year.
It will.
Great athletes, great shooters, skill level.
And veterans.
Yes. This Auburn team finding its way, but their defensive pressure and just disrupting what UCF wanted to do at the offensive end was the difference.
Preston Cook, a former walk-on, with an opportunity at the free throw line, a 6'4" senior from Auburn. These are his first free throw attempts of the season. Less than a minute to play. This was a very, very competitive game in the first 20 minutes. But Auburn picked up the pace on both ends of the floor. And UCF went through a horrible stretch where it missed 13 of 14 shots. And that enabled Auburn to really stretch into a comfortable double-digit lead.
But the 11-minute mark of the second half, Auburn found a way to defend. UCF struggled with their scoring, and that was the difference. Auburn offensively went inside out with Kessler getting a lot of touches, and then Jabari Smith takes over.
That 3 ball will count.